it's your boy T-Bell, her reaction to Days Music Monday. We're going to return back to BlackySpeakz though, talking about what's going on with the current state of music of the music world as well too. So earlier I did the first video out of that series that was why hip hop is dying, but it ain't just hip hop is dying. The whole musical industry itself is falling off. May dive in some stuff taken from the why hip hop is dying as well too, as well as many others as well too. And I'm also going to have my check out the comments as well too. Check out the comments afterwards to see what everybody else thinking about as well too. But as you said, hip hop. I mean, not a lot of hip hop. For hip hop for one, not a lot of number one albums not a lot of albums hitting number one this year as well too. That as I heard from the last video, which is shocking as well too. I mean, a lot of folks is too many quantity over quality as well too, because folks is more about the money than the art as well too. And even with the outside of hip hop as well too, you know, a lot of folks are like downplay as well too because of the type of music it is, or the artist themselves as well too. Sometimes the artist is a little too controversial as well too. Not to mention the streaming service is making it too accessible as well too. And like even like within the black community as well too, folks we like recently we had a post that the top spot in the Billboard chart was made by black artists as well too, but the folks didn't want to claim it because they didn't feel like their music wasn't as good enough as well too. The artists themselves were like half black as well too, or very controversial as well too, for like Doja Cat and many others as well too. So we're going to check out this one from BlackySpeakz, and now I became a bigger fan as he showed his face on the end of the last video. BlackySpeakz, I should say. And he talks about why we went from talking about why hip hop is dying to why the music industry as itself is falling off as well too. Because you know, even big time like Drake is doing fine, but folks are not feeling it as well too. Like his latest album for My Dogs was got mixed review. While some felt it was good, some felt like Drake could have did better as well too. Folks was trying to stop him from getting the top spot that's held by Michael Jackson. That he got the top spot that folks were wanting to listen to. Like, personally, out of spite of Drake, listen to Michael Jackson songs to get him out that top spot of having the most number one albums in the Billboard chart. So yeah, I just thought about that video was made a couple months before the album, so there's that. So other than that, without further ado, let's check out the music industry is falling off by BlackySpeakz. Let's see why. Let's get it.
Now, take a guess who's falling off right now. Not a particular artist. I'm talking about the music industry. I want to talk about this article that was recently published by Billboard. This article is essentially talking about how the music industry is in panic mode right now. That's right. These label executives, they're under a lot of stress as we speak. And it's for a myriad of reasons. Some of those things we're going to talk about in this video as I break this article down. This is something that I think a lot of us already know. The music industry is, yes, generating more money than it's ever been generating. That is a fact. Things are moving so fast. Hundreds of artists are emerging constantly on a monthly basis. There's so much money being poured into music now because there's a crystal clear incentive. I mean, these major labels are signing so many acts on the daily. They are losing a lot of money in the process. Yes, however, they're making so much money back because they're simultaneously banking on so many artists at once. At some point, one of those artists is going to end up the next Ice Spice, and so they stay on that course because it directly feeds into the industry's agenda. This is definitely an important article to go over. I have a lot of very important things to say about this one. So with that being said, let's check it out. Pop stars aren't popping like they used to. Do labels have a plan? No, they don't have a plan, and I'll tell you why. At a time when executives agree it's harder to create superstars, the music industry may need to change how it views a win. So let me give you some insight into that sentence right there. The reason why it's harder to create superstars is because the music industry's focus isn't to create superstars. Their MO is to discover stars that already have some type of foundation, i.e. they've managed to garner some type of success without the help of the music industry. No matter what your potential might look like from the the outside, if you don't have anything tangible like a decent accumulation of streams, they're not going to look your way. You're irrelevant to them because there's too big of a risk involved in investing into you. The last thing they're going to bank on is someone's potential because there's just so much at stake. They, however, will bank on someone who's shown the marketplace that their model works. So it's not necessarily that it's harder to create superstars, it's that they're just not giving the artists who have a chance at becoming superstars enough time to develop into one. The article continues and says, what does it mean to break an artist? It's a question that has plagued the music industry in recent months. If a singer has billions of streams but walks down the street unrecognized, have they broken? Is a lone billion streams single enough? Or is a second hit required as proof of staying power? And what if an artist racks up multiple hits but can't pull off a major headlining tour?
Like I said, a lot of like the newer era artists are not like getting good sales. Like a lot of folks had to cancel their tours or shows, whatever, because the sales wasn't as great as well too as artists of the past as well too. You know, all the past who like doing nostalgia acts are getting more sales and revenue than the ones that currently out right now. So that's a big deal right there. I mean, even part because of controversy and other because of other situation and poor sales. Mid American was canceled as well too, so yeah, it was crazy.
Let's just put it like this. I would rather be the artist who actually has a foundation and has somewhat of a fan base enough to the point where I could live off of music instead of an artist who's quote unquote broken but doesn't have a solid foundation and doesn't have an audience who's bought into their brand and identity. One of the biggest flaws in the music industry right now is they're so focused on propping up artists in order to make them seem like they're bigger than they actually are. And the consequence of that is what we're seeing right now. A bunch of superstars who aren't standing on anything except for the infrastructure that they've been given by the label. Meanwhile, they've barely been developed as artists. They don't have an actual fan base who flock to them for their uniqueness. They do, however, have a bunch of followers, a bunch of streams, and a bunch of endorsement deals that they've acquired through being a signed act. So, without the infrastructure that the label is offering, what exactly are they standing on by themselves? Nothing. And I'm realizing now that most artists would rather be recognized than paid well. And I'm saying that because signing to a record label in a lot of ways is actually an oxymoron if you've built a decent foundation. Because the bottom line is, if you're willing to navigate through the industry as an independent artist who, let's say, has enough fans to not clock into a regular 9 to 5, you're actually going to get a bigger bang for your buck in the long run if you stay independent, unless you want to try shooting for the stars in the next coming 3 to 4 years. In that case, signing to a record label wouldn't be such a bad idea, and honestly is kind of necessary if you want to shoot for the stars, because they will help you become more famous. That's one of the biggest advantages of signing. That's the reason why more often than not, when you start to hear an artist's name, by that point 9 times out of 10 they've already signed to a major label. Regarding what they precisely said on the article, if a singer has billions of streams but walks down the street unrecognized, have they broken? See, I don't think breaking an artist should necessarily be the focal point. I think developing an artist, however, should be the focal point. Because by the time this artist has broken, the goal should be we want them to be able to stand on their own power. You can't stand on your own power if you haven't been developed into a product that has the ability to do that. The article continues and says, the consensus among label executives is that the last pop artist to break big was Olivia Rodrigo, who had 4 top 10 Billboard Hot 100 hits during 2021 and debuted at number 1 on the chart with Vampire in July 2023. It's a track record they say that today makes her seem like a unicorn.
You see, I do see it here a lot about her a lot though as well too. You saw one a while back some random guy that she was always in the one that had the top spot on the 2023 for a good while. 2022, I think it was 2023 for a good while as well too when I was watching it. Till then, till I think Ed Sheeran probably broke her down, but still, it's great. It's no cap on that.
Nobody knows how to break music right now. One senior executive laments, I think they're all lost. There's a need and desire for new artists that have real substance. Artists that are more than just a song that we can really lean into. buy concert tickets, buy merchandise, says Jay Irving, a manager and founder of the artist services and distribution company Human Resources. Each person I talk to in the industry is more depressed about this than the person I talked to before them, says another manager. Now this part is really interesting. First of all, they mentioned Olivia Rodrigo, who's a huge success in the music industry right now. She's literally one of the biggest stars in the industry right now. She recently got a #1 record with a song called Vampire. It's kind of catchy. I get why it's #1. Now, I don't know too much about Olivia Rodrigo's story, but I do know that one of the reasons why she's an anomaly is because she has an extremely strong brand and identity. Olivia Rodrigo honestly looks like one of my neighbors. She literally looks like the typical girl next door. And one thing about being an ultra successful artist in the mainstream is you gotta have at least one thing that makes you stick out from the bunch. Her brand is very refined and particular to the kind of person she appears to be in real life. She looks very authentic and is ultra talented on top of that. It's obviously not every day you see a case like her, and I think she's a great example of how powerful leaning into your own uniqueness as an artist can be. For Olivia Rodrigo, I can tell it's not just about the music. Every aspect of the umbrella that falls under an artist's brand has to connect, and that seems to be the case for her. Aside from that, they mentioned something else that was really interesting, and that was the part about how there's a need for new artists that have real substance and artists that are more than just a song. This is probably one of the core issues with the industry now, and it's actually very sad how 90% of the artists who emerge these days literally have zero substance behind them, like zero. And substance, believe it or not, is not just about what you talk about. It's who you are as a person on an intrinsic level. Are you actually a person who can think beyond 1 or 2 layers? Because that actually feeds into your music and your brand. Are you someone who can effectively communicate to a mass of people what your brand entails and make the majority of those people you reach feel like they get a sense of who you are? If you can do that as an artist, I'm not even joking, but you're gonna have a very easy time, because separating yourself from the pack won't be a matter of leaning into a gimmick. It'll be you leaning into your own unique identity. That's not to say that this is the only thing you need to do. What I'm saying is being able to communicate and convey directly and indirectly to the listener who you are on an internal level is really where it's at. Any artist who's reached a very high level can do this to some degree, and this is something that actually takes a lot of skill. Now, how do you develop this is the question. Well, it starts with being able to understand yourself. Before you try to understand and reach people and listeners, you got to be able to reach and understand yourself first, because ultimately people connect with things they feel like understands or represents them. And so, do you understand yourself? The other side of this is that the industry is so superficial now, to the point where they don't know what to do with an artist who actually has a little bit of substance in him. Now, they claim that they want more of these types of artists, but there's not a lot of funds at all being allocated towards these types of artists. They spend more of their budget on TikTok stars now than genuine stars with a lot of potential, because those actual stars haven't proven themselves to work in a marketplace which prioritizes TikTok clout rather than actual talent. Everything is so backwards now, and speaking of what they said later on, each person I talked to in the industry is more depressed about it. So these label executives are literally panicking as we speak, because they know that how the industry is being operated right now isn't a good, long-lasting strategy. It's far from everlasting, and it's quite honestly fumbling in front of their eyes. I could see this coming from a mile away. I mean, it's not hard to pinpoint where they're going wrong. Their priorities are all messed up. Out of 100 acts they sign, 90% barely make the cut or break even, and so they have a roster full of acts they don't have a clue what to do with, because they didn't sign them with the intention of developing them into stars. Most of the people they sign got a hot record off TikTok, and they end up getting signed within the same 6-month period the song blew up. They have no foundation, no real fan.
And I mentioned that in the last video as well too. Like they got this hot song or anything, but they don't have a follow as well too. Not being constantly with Gloria right now as well too. Constantly with Sexy Red in a way. And I mean, not saying their songs are bad, but like a lot of folks are not. Well, a lot of folks. I mean, the song was hot. You know, the song was like still getting downplayed or anything. And now they witness it as well too. Same with Glorilla. Hell, you can say with some of the guys that was like on the past from like the past SSL freshman classes as well too. I mean, some of them are like highly rememberable as well too. But yeah.
base, no plan for their career, and so the label puts a plan in effect for them. Because if you don't have a plan for your career, they always do. When that plan fails, they prioritize the other acts that are performing a tad bit better, and that's the minority. And then we have a bunch of artists who are left fighting for resources because the internal competition on these labels is sky high. The whole structure of how they're doing things now is just faulty. And there are so many artists who sign to these labels with the hopes of that one day leading to a prosperous, everlasting career, just for them to get shelved within the first 3 years of them signing. Most times, that happens way faster. Some cite the precipitous decline of mass media like radio and the maddening unpredictability of TikTok, and some attribute the feeling of industry inertia to the exhausting intensity of competing for attention in a world where gamers and influencers wield as much clout as music artists, if not more. Every issue that we're facing right now comes down to oversaturation, Bourne says. People are just buried in content. On this next part, the article says, in addition to those factors, executives say, a hit doesn't mean what it used to. It's common to hear grumbles about young acts who have hundreds of millions of plays of a single but can't fill a small room for a live performance. It's easier today for folks to be passive fans, Irving says. That's a fact, by the way. For you to consider yourself really broken, people need to care about you beyond the song. That's a great point. Where's the connectivity? Are people really dialed in a deeper way? Another great point. In addition, both major labels and streaming services are increasingly focused on identifying superfans and finding new ways to extract money from them. And by the way, did you catch that? They're trying to find new ways to extract money from them. The industry being so money motivated now is exactly the thing that's absolutely killed the art. But anyway, I just want to bring that up. Let me continue. If these efforts are effective, the industry will be unable to avoid the reality that these artists with small but passionate followings may generate more business than those with wide, shallow fan bases. So now let's transition to some face cam action to continue the conversation.
There you go.
So here we have the music industry executives acknowledging that they got to come to grips with the fact that how the music industry is being ran right now is far from productive and ideal. I think there's a lot of artists who are also seeing through the smokescreen. I mean, part of the reason why we got here in the first place is because there are so many artists who are willing to give everything away, give away all their power just to make it inside the gate. And the issue with making that the end goal is that you're completely ignoring the possibility that they might not have a clue what they're doing themselves. I mean, what is this article telling us? The music industry executives are panicking. I mean, they got the infrastructure, but even that can be built on something that's not all that constructive. At the end of the day, the industry is a machine that has to keep on running. And one aspect of keeping the machine alive is you got to prioritize the engine in order to keep the lights on. The engine in this case is the money has to keep on flowing no matter what. Artists want to create art while making it big, while still simultaneously pulling in a lot of money and have this infrastructure behind them, not realizing that there's a price you got to pay to have all that. And don't get me wrong, by the way, there's no right or wrong. It's merely a situation of picking your poison. What's right for you as an artist? That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And here's the thing. There's a price to putting your career at the hands of the industry. Because at some point, they're going to be like, damn, we have absolutely no clue what's going on right now. We have no clue where this path that we're on is going to take us, which is exactly what's going on right now. Independent artists are probably in the best position to win right now. Actually, let me correct myself. Independent artists who are willing to put in the work and find a way are in the best position to win. And when I say that, I'm talking about the people who are willing to play the long game. Because trust me when I say this, it's a long road to go. I mean, ask any successful independent artist, any independent artist who's reached some type of success. Ask them, what was the journey like? Was it an easy journey or was it a tough journey? They're gonna say that it was tough. I don't think most artists are actually willing to take the high road, which is why, despite the state of the industry, despite what we've talked about, and despite all the things that are going on, 80% of artists are gonna bite the bullet and still make it their life mission to make it into the industry. If that's what you want to do, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that at all. I just think you got to do it at the right time. I mean, there's just so many artists who would have had a completely different trajectory had they waited an additional 6 months or let's say like a year before they sign to a major label.
True.
And the reason why everyone lacks patience is because people want it today.
They want it
Instant
now.
gratification.
Yep.
They want it when they want it, how they want it, and so that
want it
has
now.
repercussions. Why would you as a creative be so quick to want to give your power away to an industry which its intended purpose is to make money and not aid you in creating better art? It's like everyone is doing a mad dash, Usain Bolt, take the race style towards the industry.
Wow.
And you know, there's a time and place for that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that it's wrong to want to make it into the industry. Well, first of all, I don't think you should make that your mission. I don't think you should make that the sole purpose of why you're doing what you do.
Right.
Because like I've said before, the industry actually wants to make it inside of you. They actually want you more than you want them. That's what a lot of artists don't realize. And this goes back to, you know, that video that I made, why hip hop is dying. So many rappers and just artists in general are so quick to give their power away, and they don't realize that the industry
Needs you more.
they're actually the club the industry wants to get into. Pace yourself. So when you eventually make it inside those gates, you know exactly what's going on inside those gates, and you're not surprised by what's going on. And I just don't want you to get bewildered by it, because, like, damn, the game can get dirty. The game, okay? The music industry can get dirty. I mean, some of the most cutthroat motherfuckers you'll meet will be in the music industry. Mark my words. Some of the most cutthroat motherfuckers you'll meet will be in the music
part
industry.
of the industry too to even go there.
That's another conversation for another day, though. It's going to be really interesting to see where things go from here. I'm just really curious as to where this particular shift that we're going through in the industry right now, what that's going to lead to. Because if the music industry is panicking, what kind of precedent is that going to set for the people who eventually want to make it inside? As long as you know your worth and you actually have an exit plan, okay? Exit plan is really important. When things eventually go left, like they clearly are right now, they're going left, you're going to be good because you actually made sure to secure your future. Anyway, the music industry is clearly falling off. Any thoughts on this topic? What you guys think about?
Alright, cool. So, I mean, I kind of agree with most of the stuff as well, too. But let me see what some of the people in the comments say on this one. I'm kind of glad this is happening. Stop making these people who are no talent famous, blah, blah. And then you go back to the day where talent spoke for yourself, not the amount of followers you have. I wanted as well, too. Let's see, no one will say, I think people really need to look into being independent more often. Just one person's example. Being knows they might not be superstar, but he has hits and fame. Shows up, does similar shows, but sells every one single out, which is true as well too. As a DJ, shout out to the fellow DJ, I'm playing more tracks from 2000 and early 2000 than today. Industry is having trouble, but by the time it's music lasts forever. Yep. And I mentioned that in the first video as well too. Like one of the parties I went to was like a Sweet 16 sneaker ball as well too. While there's some folks who was like the new artists, new songs I wanted, there's some folks requesting, and it was the 16, there were ones that was the 16 to 17 to 15-year-old requesting stuff from the 2000s and 2010s as well too. Not the when I did play this, the Sexy Red, the Lotto, the Ice Spice, they were jamming to it, but they was requesting the older stuff as well too. Even further back when I did another 216 before, they was doing the same thing as well too. Like, you'd be surprised with some of the stuff that the folks want to listen to more. So yeah, it's that crazy. You know what I'm saying? Let me see who does respond to that DJ one as well too. Right, you forgot about the song next month, and it's just been times like I didn't play something like, oh, I ain't heard it played in a while, or I listen to radio like, oh shit, I got to play that shit as well too. It's like it's some people saying like early 2010 was a cut off, most that music after 2015 was sucked. But yeah, it's crazy that we're like, there's no timeless music for folks. That the fact that you can remember that was the jam run time or anything, or sometimes you forget that that shit was hot. Like I've got to play it as well too. As a DJ, you like, oh shit, I got to play this. You getting ready like, oh damn, I ain't played this at the party. Why didn't I play this as well too? Because it stuck to you. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, if you like my reaction to this one, like, share, subscribe my YouTube channel. I'll see if I have time to do a third one, but if not, I'll do another time possibly this week. It's your boy T-Bird signing off. One love.